I love superheroes, but it's fair to say that the superhero genre isn't doing that great these days. Ever since Endgame, it doesn't seem like anyone really is excited about superhero movies anymore, and when it comes to video games, there's not really that much that is going on, not much that's coming out. Sure, the upcoming Marvel Talk-Cons look pretty exciting, and Marvel Rivals, it's huge. Oh my god, it's huge! These multiplayer games are kinda alright, but I really miss these single-player action-adventure games. Games that
You feel like Spider-Man?
Makes you feel like you're Batman.
We really want you to feel like Batman when you get into the car and rev the engine for the first time.
yeah, exactly, feel like the character, and that is something that action-adventure game, story-driven game is what typically provides. Now, there is not much that's coming out except the Insomnia games, and even then, these are starting to become controversial with the fans, and there is a lot of noise around that. So I figured, why not take a look backwards, go back in time and check out some of the older games. Some of them were great. We had games like Spider-Man 2, the movie game that introduced the web swinging. That one was fantastic. There is the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game on PS2. That one was so much fun as well. But I love Batman. So I figured, why not take a look back at the series starter, Batman Arkham Asylum, and is it as good today as it was back then? Our story takes place at the prehistoric age of 2008. The Dark Knight movie comes out. It shatters all expectations, blowing everyone's mind by how good it was, and to this day is still considered by many to be one of the greatest comic book movies, if not the greatest of all time. So the Batman stocks, scratch that, the Bat stocks is at an all-time high. And then one day, Game Informer reveals that there is a new Batman game in production, Batman Arkham Asylum, a game that's being developed by a back then relatively new studio, Rocksteady. This was a Batman game, an action-adventure featuring the Joker that is a Bioshock-like. That is what they said. And it's actually kind of funny that everyone assumed that they meant that this is a first-person shooter. It obviously wouldn't end up being that. I wonder, what would a first-person Batman game look like? I know it's not first-person, I know it's VR, but come on, that's kind of fun. They promised a dark and gritty setting reminiscent of Bioshock, and then we started seeing trailers for the game, and they weren't kidding. This was a Batman game like no other. Upon replaying Arkham Asylum in 2025, the one thing that immediately stood out to me was the tone of the game. Yes, it's dark, it's gritty, all of that, but also this game really feels like the animated series.
Hey, scram, bats! This is my me time.
Where's Gordon?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I'm over here.
Shut up!
One of the main reasons that the game feels that way is that this game was written by Paul Dini, and if you don't know who Paul Dini is, he's also one of the main writers on Batman the Animated Series, and it really shows in how the characters are written, especially the Harley Quinn character, which was actually created by Paul Dini.
Look who's finally turned up, the Dark Knight himself. How's it hanging, Babs? Got a little problemo for you. See those two cars over there? I know, shocking. How you gonna save them?
It also helps that Harley Quinn in this game was voiced by Arlene Sorkin, which also voiced her in the animated series, further adding to that feel.
Hey, aren't you that plant lady, Poison Oakie? Harley Quinn, pleased to meet ya.
And small tangent here, and I really love Tara Strong as a voice actress, I really do, but I can't be the only one that is starting to get like annoyed by her Harley Quinn. It's just like the super high pitch, the way that she's constantly grunting and stuff. I don't know, and it could very possibly be just like bad voice direction by the maker of the games, but I'll say especially like at Arkham Knight, I found Harley to be completely insufferable. Small tangent, but it's something that I had to get off my chest. And writing aside, this is by far the most comic booky feeling Batman Arkham game, and you can see it from like the design of the Batmobile that is very much comic booky, even just in the game itself. When you check out like that upgrade menu, you have comic drawings. When you check out the character bios, you will have this beautiful comic art displaying like each character, and I absolutely love that. This is by far the most comic booky feel Batman Arkham game, and I feel like that's why it feels the most like the animated series. You just love it when a game feels pretty faithful to its source material. Although I'm pretty sure Batman just killed that dude, oh my god.
It'll heal.
The setup for Arkham Asylum is a pretty simple one. One day Batman is returning Joker to the asylum when he pretty much gets stuck in the middle of a prison riot. It's an obvious trap, but Batman have to take it, he can't backwalk out of it, and he just deals with everything with the utmost confidence.
You'll be walking into a trap.
That's what she thinks.
It's a very simple story really, pretty much an excuse to put Batman in a box with some of his most iconic villains, and I think it was a blast, right? It's simple, nothing too crazy, and I love seeing how Batman interact with the villains, but also because they are kind of like trapped together, I loved watching some of the villains interact with one another, and again, because of the fantastic writing that is very faithful to the characters, this was a blast and it was a ton of fun.
You will pay, Batman, for hurting my babies.
Oh God, does she ever stop going on about those plans of hers?
When I finish with Batman, I'll be coming after you.
Will you really? Oh, that's gratitude, isn't it? Women, human presents, experimental chemicals, and nice costumes, and they still turn on you.
What makes this game in particular stand out so much from the rest to me is the fact that this game have a linear structure, where others went for more open-ended, and it was fun. It was fun cruising around with the Batmobile, and gliding in Arkham City is a ton of fun, but the linear structure of Arkham Asylum make it so that the pace is excellent, right? There is never a dull moment. Every corridor, every section, every time you're crawling through one of these vents, which Lord knows there are a ton of in this game, you're constantly being entertained by like Joker commentary or some other villains, and there is a real sense of urgency to the game and a big focus to the story, and like the story intertwines and all of the other villains play into the story, which I found to be a blast, right? There is never a dull moment in Batman Arkham Asylum. One area in particular that benefited a lot from this structure is the environment. You can tell that Arkham Asylum as a place have history. It feels lived in, it's scary, it's disgusting, it's vile. And I will say one thing I always kind of found funny was just how comfortable Batman was in Arkham Asylum. He even had like a bat cave in there, and in one of the Scarecrow section he also is thinking about one day being escorted himself into that place. I mean, after all, he just killed that dude. But yeah, the environment plays a fantastic role. Arkham really is a character in this game. Just remember to take off your detective vision every now and then, because it's a really pretty world out there. If you've been liking the video so far but you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It really helps the channel, and who knows, maybe you will get like more goodies like this. But everything I've talked about wouldn't have made Arkham Asylum great if the gameplay hasn't kept up and if it wasn't good enough. And I was kind of surprised by how well the game held up in 2025, honestly, and just how video gamey this game is. I mean, here we have Batman running towards the camera away from Killer Croc. I mean, that is the most Crash Bandicoot video game thing I've seen in one of these games. The gameplay in Arkham Asylum is pretty much divided into three main sections: combat, stealth, and traversals with some puzzle solving. Let's start first with the combat, because that is the one thing you're probably gonna be doing the most of in this game. And Arkham Asylum has a fairly simple combat mechanics. It is attack, counter, stun, and dodge. And this was a system that was initially criticized by some folks as being a little bit too simple, a little bit too button mashy, but that is absolutely by design.
It's really important to us that when you pick up the pad, Batman, if he's taking 4, 5, 6 henchmen on, he doesn't have a lot of trouble. I mean, he's a highly trained martial artist. He can take these guys out with no problems. So we really wanted the player to feel that power.
Combat and stealth in general in this game is designed to make you feel very strong as Batman. They didn't design the game where it would need manual dexterity. This is not like a light, medium, heavy launcher, very deep combo system like a Devil May Cry or a Ninja Gaiden. They don't want you to feel like you're exerting effort as Batman. It really comes down to your awareness and your decision making. One thing I really liked about Arkham Asylum is that your actions are committal. You can't animation cancel out of an attack to last second counter someone. You kind of have to commit. So it really is all about just rotating the camera, being aware of your surrounding, knowing when to strike, when to wait, when maybe dodge to buy yourself some time. And one thing I really liked about this game as well is when you set the game too hard, you don't get the spider sense notification when the enemies are about to attack you. So you have to pay even more attention to the individual enemies visually. I found that to be really fun because the other Batman games logged that behind New Game Plus, but here you can play that way right out of the gate. And obviously as you go on, they start introducing enemies that you have to deal with a little bit differently. Maybe you can't attack them directly from the front. They started adding these titans that you have to deal with in other specific ways. I think for this style of combat, what they did here for a first attempt, it's honestly amazingly good. And even though it's a little bit repetitive, because of the game linear structure and how the game is designed, you never have to do too much of it at once. It never falls into the trap that other action game falls, where it's like a combat arena after combat arena after combat arena. It doesn't really happen that much in this game. So I think overall the combat stays fun up to the very end. I don't think it's gonna go into the Hall of Fame of character action games. It's not a Devil May Cry, it's not a Ninja Gaiden, but it's very serviceable. It fits the game that it's in, and it does a very good job of making you
to feel like Batman.
Exactly. An area where I feel like the combat is a little bit of a letdown though are the bosses. None of the bosses here are specifically memorable, and because of how the combat system is designed, all of the bosses are pretty much you beating on random thugs while the boss is like taunting or doing whatever. Like, I get that we're not gonna have a hand-to-hand combat section with Ivy, but there is so much more that you could have done. I mean, you pretty much had an entire garden to play around with. Maybe Ivy could have been like a big kaiju. Kind of like Emma Frost in Marvel Rivals. But yeah, there's way more that could have been done, and I will say especially the Joker boss fight at the end was a complete letdown. It ends up being a situation where the journey is far better than the destination, but overall I will say this was a fine combat system and it's very enjoyable in my opinion. Like, you always like to rack up huge combos and keep the combo going. That's always really fun. After all, it does a great job of making you feel like Batman, something like the Batfleck scene in Batman vs Superman. The Arkham combat really does make you feel that way. But nothing quite makes you feel like Batman as feeding on the criminal's fears.
I swear to God. Swear to me!
And this game does that masterfully. Now, to be fair, this is not the first Batman game to implement this idea. Before Arkham Asylum, there was a Batman Begins movie game that also had a lot of stealth section and strong emphasis on making the enemies afraid and all of that, but it was a much more linear structure and you have to tackle the sections at a very specific order and ways. It was very linear, where Arkham Asylum will typically make you enter a room. Now there is a number of thugs with guns, you can't take them head on, you have to use your environment, you have to use your surroundings and your gadgets and your smart to take them out one by one. And they also made this very easy and very satisfying thanks to the detective vision. Think the final bit in the Dark Knight movie, which kind of flips the script on the stealth gameplay. Instead of you trying to avoid the enemies or take them down silently or whatever, now you are the predator. You are not trapped with them, they are trapped with you. And you have so many tools. It's almost like you're cheating in how much you have control over them. And as you start taking them out one by one, you start seeing the other guys get more afraid, they panic, they shooting air, and it's just so satisfying to just play around with them. And this is also the area where you're gonna start using the most of your gadgets, like the explosive gel, like the batarangs, like the bat claws, to get a ton of takedowns as well. They allow you to do so many different takedowns and attack the enemies from so many different angles that it makes it really satisfying, and that was a ton of fun. Invisible Predator is one of the most fun aspects of this game, and I also love how the game will try to challenge you as it goes on, where they will attach collars to the enemies, so when you knock one of them out, the others will know and they will go search. Later on, they will add explosives on gargoyles, so you can just camp up there and have easy takedowns. Later on, they will add like hostage situations where you will need to take out a specific enemy first before you can take out the others. They really do clever ways to keep it challenging, to keep you think about your surrounding. And I absolutely loved how during most of these sections, the Joker will always be commenting on what is going on, and he is pretty much taunting and playing around with guys, the thugs. So it almost I feel almost bad for them sometimes. Like, come on, Joker. Like, the guy is like, he knows he's a solo out there. 7 guys were already taken out and he have to deal with Batman, so much so that when you just appear in his face, they are totally paralyzed and they're shocked. That feels good.
Are you scared? Lonely? Good. I said protect excellence. Have failed. Hello? Is there a doctor in the house? No? I think I have a pile of attention that needs medical attention.
Now, outside of beating on thugs, whether we're talking stealth or combat, you will be doing a lot of traversal, exploring the place, and trying to overcome the Riddler challenges. Batman Arkham Asylum follows what is being called a Metroidvania game structure. The game takes place on the entirety of Arkham Island, and you can't access everything right away. There will be areas that will be locked off and you need to unlock a certain upgrade or a certain gadget that will allow you to access it. And this really plays into the Riddler challenges, and I will get into it a little bit. Now, one thing I really liked about this game is that although it does follow the structure where you have to unlock special abilities to access certain places, Batman feels like Batman from moment one, where many of the games that apply this game structure, the character will feel very nerfed at the start. That doesn't happen here. Even the way that Batman gets his gadget, he have like a Batwing fly in, he have a Batcave, so it makes him feel very much in control, and that is just fantastic character work. Now, I wouldn't be lying if I said that the Riddler had as much of a role in the success of this video game series as much as Joker, if not more, because collecting and beating the Riddler challenges is some of the most fun that I have had in all of gaming. This is probably the most fun collectathon that I have ever had, and that is because of the very funny and consistent Riddler commentary when you get to beat one of his challenges.
You are performing just below my predicted expectations. At this rate, you'll never beat me.
And one thing that I really love about the whole Riddler thing is that I love how the Riddler reacts to you beating his challenges, where he will start being very confident at the start of the marathon, but as you go on and on and on, he's gonna get more frustrated, he's gonna get more angry, he's gonna be more in disbelief, and you really will want to explore everything, you wanna check out everything because you wanna collect all of them and break the Riddler apart, and that was so satisfying. The voice actor for the Riddler did an absolutely killer job in this game, and in the entirety of the series, to be honest. I've never cared about collecting a video game collectible as I did for the Riddler and the Riddler challenges in the Batman Arkham series. This is some of the most fun that you will have ever, to be honest. It's also really cool that the Riddler challenges will include stuff like the patient tapes, which will tell you a lot more about the Batman villains and how they act with some of the other characters, and you get to learn more about them and their universe. And if you weren't a Batman fan before playing this game, I am sure after playing it, you will be like an Omega Batman fan like a bunch of us.
Tell me, why do you do the things you do?
Why do you think I do it?
Fame, notoriety, a desire to stand out from the crowd, a wicked sense of humor.
You're good. How did around in here for years, and no one was as astute, and if you don't mind my saying, beautiful as you.
Really? Ah, you're just playing with me.
Well, you'll never know, will you? Unless...
Unless what? Tell me.
I am so glad that I went back and played Arkham Asylum after all of these years, because honestly this is some of the most fun that I had all year. Arkham Asylum to this day is better than 95% of the video games that comes out today, and although I know that the games have made progress, especially enhancement to combat styles and everything as the series went on, I don't think any of the Arkham games are as immersive and plays on my nostalgia to the animated series the way that the Batman Arkham Asylum game does. This game feels condensed. It feels like a mini-series with no filler episodes. It's nothing but a banger after banger, and it's truly a timeless classic. I am so happy that I went back and played this game. And I really wish, if you haven't played it somehow, if you haven't played it in a long time, go back and play it and you will be shocked, especially after playing through the entire series. You will be shocked just how good Arkham Asylum felt. This game brought me back to 2008 when I'm still entering into college. I was like high school, entering college, and I just couldn't believe how well this aged. I'm pretty sure even in like 20 extra years down the road, when I go back and replay this game, it will still be just as much fun. This video for me is pretty much an experimental video. It's something that I really wanted to do. I obviously do a lot of fighting game stuff, but I really wanted to talk about this game. I really wanted to talk about how I've been feeling going back and playing some of these older games and just how much they mean to me, and it's just an excuse because I really wanted to talk about it. Thank you so much if you watch it to the very end. If you want to see more videos like these, please let me know and I could take a look back at some of the games, see if they still hold up, if they're still as good in this day and age as they were back then. Man, Arkham Asylum aged like a fine wine. Thank you so much for watching this video and stay safe.